Rugby. That sport involving the egg-shaped ball. You know, the one that kind of looks like an organised fight. Rugby has something of a checkered past in gaming. Well, there was one good game, then 10 years, then another good game, then another 10 years. Will the cycle continue? Our review of Jonah Lomu Rugby Challenge is the only way you'll find out. Rugby games haven't had the most illustrious of pasts. There was Jonah Lomu Rugby, which was amazing. Simple and fast-paced, it was the pick-up-and-play take on the sport we all wanted. Then there was a gulf before EA Rugby arrived on the scene. A more advanced and complex take on the sport, it wasn't without its flaws, but it was the best we had seen in this quiet little niche. Since then, though, the cupboard has been bare. Time for a new contender. First up, let's get the features out the way. The lineup of teams is very expansive and has something for everyone. That is, as long as you know your club rugby. The international teams, traditionally the big draw in rugby, were tied up elsewhere, so the official kits and players aren't on offer here. The list of teams you can call on is more than enough, covering the Aviva Premiership, Top 14, Pro 12, ITM Cup, and even the Runfurly Shield, if that takes your fancy. As a compendium of club rugby goes, Jonah Lomu has gone a lot further in capturing the regular season of the sport. Stadia are as important in sports games as the teams you play as. Okay, no, they're not really, but let's just pretend they are for the next 30 seconds, shall we? Jonah Lomu Rugby Challenge has gone and pulled off something of a coup. All the official stadia for the Rugby World Cup in New Zealand are in the game. They also have the Hacker, another feature that a certain rival doesn't offer. The stadia here are impressive, as long as you're not playing in one of the smaller team grounds. All the official venues tower over the pitch with fire and sparks going off everywhere. Seriously, they do. It all adds the necessary gravitas to what you're doing. By its very nature, rugby is a fairly complex sport, which has made it hard to translate to the digital field. But the guys down at Sidhe really seem to have got their heads round it. The afternoon spent with a licensed rugby coach on a playing field probably didn't hurt them. There are three main areas of the game: running and passing, that's one area, kicking and the breakdown. The running and passing is probably the strongest part of Jonah Lomu Challenge. It feels fast and responsive without being too arcadey. There are times when the ball will fly straight past your player, but this is more of an AI problem than the actual game design. Kicking does what it says on the tin, with some nice slow motion effects added when kicking in live play. That really helps. The breakdown, or the bit where the large fellows throw themselves at each other, has been simplified to a timing, tactic-based button press. It works, despite being a bit on the simple side.
Support now from Jacobs. Simpson, he will surely score.
So, as far as gameplay goes, Jonah Lomu is pretty top-notch when held up against what else is out there at the moment. There are some nice standout moments too. The Lomu All-Stars style teams turn it into a ridiculous exaggeration of rugby. It also has some of the best rain effects we've seen in a sports game. Seriously, that sounds odd, but they really stood out, and they could even teach FIFA a thing or two. But really, it's just nice to get out on the field and play virtual rugby without wanting to break your controller. Jonah Lomu Rugby Challenge is a very, very welcome return to the world of gaming rugby, providing us with a game that is playable and recognisable as the sport I played so much in my youth, but I can't anymore because I've got a bad knee. It's got a way to go, and I really hope they get a chance to make a second, because this is so close to being the finished article. Rugby gaming won't get better than this until next year, maybe.